Like this story.
Cleveland. Come on, Cleveland. I know y'all in this room. There we go. I am Victor Danders, lovingly called the Heart Working Man in Comics. It is my honor, my pleasure, my delight to moderate this panel. I'm going to tell y'all right now, we're going to ask you to ask some questions. There's microphones back here. Jump on either side. But ladies and gentlemen, I need y'all to make some noise and show some love for Mr. Sam Raimi! Please. Always a pleasure. Always an absolute pleasure. Please join us. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Nice to be here in Cleveland, guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So, as a Midwesterner, I think you represent so much in terms of cinema and success to the rest of us from the Midwest. You are a true icon, not just in terms of storytelling and cinematics, but just in personality. You're fantastic. I just want to give you all the love, okay?
Thank you so
much.
much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Y'all agree with me, yes?
We're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Double check.
Honored to be a Midwesterner like you guys.
Absolutely. But growing up, how did movies fit into your everyday life? Was it something that was like a family thing that you might have done on the weekends, or was movies like kind of what your language was even back then?
Back when I was growing up, there was the movie theater, and the parents would go usually every other Saturday to the movies, and every other time that they went, I wouldn't be allowed because it was too risque of a movie or a horror movie or something like that. But I would watch movies on TV. The local talk show hosts, like you guys probably had here, would show old black and white movies.
Classics.
And I remember seeing Treasure of the Sierra Madre. I'd stay home from school. Mom, I'm sick. And I get to watch the morning movie host. And that was really my favorite kind of day.
I love that.
Skip school and watch old black and white movies.
Ooh, that's fantastic. Okay, so if you had to pick, we'll say, a Mount Rushmore of your favorite old movies, what would those be? What would those four be?
Oh, wow. Oh, Mount Rushmore, meaning four
favorite
so
movies.
Okay.
Usually the first three are pretty easy, but that fourth one gets hard. But what would you put on there?
Well, the one I mentioned, Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Yes.
I love John Huston's really taut direction, and it's a story of greed and how it destroys us. And I just love the old Mexico that's portrayed in that movie. It's really cool. Then I love a great movie like. It changes all the time, but I love Philadelphia.
Oh, that's a great movie. Great movie.
Such an awesome cast and really meaningful story. Great direction. But something like, I'm still into the old black and white movies. I guess Maltese Falcon.
Okay.
Loved the Dashiell Hammett book and the taut characterizations.
Yeah.
Edward G. Robinson. Oh, not Edward G. I mean, who is that? Sidney Greenstreet and Peter Lorre. That's
okay.
Lorre. And I love Bogart. He's so cool. Fourth one.
One more. This is the hard one. This is the hard one. This is the one where you're like, okay, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
Well, I think when I saw E.T. as a kid, that was one of my favorites.
Wow, good calls. Make some noise for those.
Thanks, guys.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the things that it showcases so wonderfully about just your taste is you like substance. Like everything that you're talking about it's a matter of like there's an underlayer of foundational storytelling, but then there's great stuff on top of it. And it's not just about it being flashy, but like something meaningful. And I think we all feel that in so much of your work. One of my favorites, if we can lament on this one, The Quick and the Dead is one of my absolute favorite pieces, because at the time, like, there was a pseudo-resurgence of Westerns, if you will, in like the early 90s. But there was something very special about the way you told the story in The Quick and the Dead. And if we could just kind of like live in that one for a little bit, where did that project come from for you?
That came to me from a phone call this is back in the days of the recording answering
Right.
machines. And I get a call. Hi, Sam, this is Sharon Stone. Please call me back. And I went, what kind of a jerk friend of mine who left that message? Got a voice actress to play that part. I was kind of impressed with the forgery, you know?
Sure.
And then about 2 days later, I get the same message. Sam, this is Sharon Stone. Please call me back. And I went, oh, this guy's persistent. Whichever buddy of mine has put this voice actress up to this. I didn't even have any friends who were girls. So it was simply one of my buddies put up some voice actress to this. Finally, I get a call. Sam, why aren't you calling me back? This is Sharon Stone. I want to make a movie with you. I went, oh.
Well, this is real.
So she was the producer. She brought the script to me, and she arranged, I think, for a distribution deal. And
Okay.
then we went about going to Tucson and casting and shooting the picture.
Absolutely amazing. Have you guys all seen this movie? Yes? Okay, just making sure. Because one of the things that I love about it is the balance. There's so many different stories that are happening in that movie at once, and you never once lose yourself in that. I think that's part of your guiding hand as a storyteller, that you can so wonderfully and richly give us a multitude of characters, that some of them have competing motivations, aligned motivations, but then we just find who we like in it, whether they're a good guy or a bad guy.
Wow. Thank you so much.
No, I truly mean that. Even Gene Hackman, for a moment, you're like, that dude's awesome. He's awesome. But you hate him. Like, you absolutely hate him. What was it like to work with such a diverse and wonderful cast to make that movie?
It's great. It's a director's dream to work with actors who can make what's written on the page really come to life.
Yeah.
Bring more dimension to it. That's what a director wants from every department, from the prop department to the art department. You know, like when you're working on a movie like Spider-Man, and you're
That's right.
and you're working with developing the character of Peter Parker, even though Stan Lee and a great bullpen of writers had worked writing those stories for 20 years before I ever got a chance to make the movie. You're always still developing the character in your own way, as every comic book writer and artist is doing too. They're looking for unique things within those characters to bring to life to you about what they know about the character or something they thought would be cool about the character. Well, we're doing that when we're making the movie too. And the contributions, this is where this long sentence started, the contributions of the actors that develop these roles, like in The Quick and the Dead, is very similar to an art department person working on Darkman who says to me, you know, Sam, I figure that Peter's such a nerd, he would probably be part of the chess club at the high school, right? No offense to chess players. I love chess.
Nerds are what we are. We embrace it now.
But so they have an award. When I walked into the room, they showed me this award he won for his class chess participation. And I just thought, well, that's brilliant. And that's what great actors do. They do develop the background of the characters, like a writer for the comic or the artist for the comic.
Right.
And so that had a lot to do with the vivid portrayal of those characters in The Quick and the Dead, which not only a great writer, Simon Moore, who did the screenplay, but every actor researching and developing this character and saying, oh, he may have had this history or this background, and contributing that and bringing it to the party.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Make some noise for that, y'all, please. Now, because you mentioned one of my favorite superheroes, I kind of want to talk about that right now. Darkman. Yes. Because, okay, so in terms of characterization, that's huge. Because a lot of that movie is a chess match. There's so much that Peyton is trying to get across, move forward, move back. There's this give and take that's so tremendous. I love that you allowed other storytellers to be involved in the creation of that whole picture. It's absolutely amazing. To work with Liam Neeson in that time period where he wasn't, as we know him as Liam Neeson, very tall guy, to try to be like this very dynamic superhero. Was that hard to get those storytelling beats out with him, or was he truly athletic and good at it?
He was really athletic and good at it.
Wow.
And he was such a pleasure to work with. And he had to, like we all know, for all monsters who come in for these movies, they've got to come in hours early, put on their makeup, and then the day starts for everybody else. But they've been in the chair for like 2.5 hours. And then come lunch, poor Liam would sit alone. No one wanted to like look across at him.
That's good makeup right there.
At a table. Yeah, hi Liam, hi, I'm gonna eat lunch. He was just really committed to the role.
Yeah.
Put everything he had into it.
I love that, especially considering, again, when you're talking about your technical skill as a director, getting different performances out of people where you're having different actors play themselves as different people of sorts. You know, when Peyton is becoming this other person,
right.
We're not using CGI. We're actually having the other actor do it. That's got to be a hefty task to try to get them to understand, like, okay, you're this version of you now. This is the hero version of you now. What was it like to try to separate those things with folks? Did you have to like separate your shooting times, or were people just on point for what they were doing?
It was a process with everybody contributing. I was a little blind to it as a writer, writing like, Peyton Westlake, the Dark Man, is burned up in this accident, and now he's the bandaged Dark Man, so bandaged Dark Man. Then I would write, Dark Man imitates Durant, Dark Man, and I'm always thinking in my mind it's Dark Man, and then I get to actually making the movie, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I can't have Liam Neeson here. I'm only working with Robert Drake. Now he's playing Dark Man, and I got to tell him everything that Liam's been thinking. So I got the actors to, but that kind of hit me like a fool. Only when I got to pre-production, I went, oh my God, I got to literally drop the actor and pick up this actor, and the audience has to follow in success seamlessly. Right. They now are Durant. They are now Larry Drake is Dark Man.
Right.
So we had to go back and think about, okay, there's a scene where Dark Man, Larry Drake, is going to imitate Larry Drake. So in that previous scene, I have to establish with Larry a way for Larry to speak that could be imitated. So a style of speech that once we saw Dark Man Drake, you'd hear that same sound and you'd go, oh, that's an imitation. So it was a lot of working with the actors and talking about things we had to set up and talking about what was in Liam Neeson's, Peyton Westlake's mind in the first scenes and what he wanted to accomplish in this next scene. And then Liam had to give the ball to another actor. And it was very interesting to that continuance you talk about from actor to actor.
That's great. Make some noise for that, y'all. I think that is one of those movies that people have watched and they've enjoyed, but not understand the technical skill that it takes to actually pull off that level of storytelling. And hearing you talk about it, it's even more mind blowing to me because it is such a juggling act, and you do so wonderfully well. I would be remiss to not get into talking about genre as a storytelling method that you use. I mean, obviously you've got superheroes, you've got westerns. You do horror so daggone well. Do you have a favorite genre that you like to work in?
I think horror has really become my favorite genre. I didn't never like horror movies. I wasn't allowed to see them, and I used to just make comedies. And then my buddy said, "Hey, we can only probably raise like $60,000 to make our feature, and the only kind of features that are playing in any movie theater, drive-ins back then, that were made for $60,000 are these like cheap Mexican or Italian horror movies, and so they're not showing $60,000 love stories. So can you make a horror movie, Sam?" And I went, "Rob, I don't want to make a horror movie. I don't like them." "No, I don't know how to make them either." So he goes, "Well, let me take you to see a horror movie. You see if you can make one as good as this." All right. So he takes me to see a horror movie, and it was Halloween. And I see the audience screaming and being riveted by it, and he goes, "Well, and once we came out, can you make a horror movie that good?" I said, "No." Right? That's how I got into horror movies.
I love it. I love it. The thing that makes it so great is you set a bar for yourself. You're like, okay, Halloween, I'm putting it up there. But you didn't stop. So you saw that movie, you're like, no, I can't make that one. Was there a movie that you saw where you're like, okay, maybe I could?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Then that's what gave me hope. Unlike other painters or artists that are inspired by great works of art,
yes,
we would go to see more drive-ins, Bruce Campbell, Rob Tapper, and myself, and we'd see a terrible one, and I'd go, oh, that's inspiring. I can make a movie as good as that. So it was the bad works.
I love it.
That gave me confidence.
Yes, I mean, sometimes you need that reverse motivation. If you can see something bad that's out in the world and go, well, if that made it out there, then I've got a chance. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. And specifically, when you're talking about The Evil Dead and the innovation of storytelling that you have throughout it, even to the point of recognizing that people saw a comedic tone that maybe you didn't intend, you go, well, then let's make it funny. There's such power and uplifting motivation in your sensibilities of a storyteller to be able to say, okay, I had something I wanted to say, but this is how the audience is receiving. Let's lean into the receipt versus my intention. What gives you that sort of mentality as a creative to not be so precious about your stories, that you allow us to have our own take with it?
That is really insightful. That it was me seeing the audience laughing, thinking, "Hey, we just make comedies anyways. Let's just do this. Embrace it." That's exactly what happened.
Awesome. That is awesome.
But sorry, what was the other part?
It doesn't even matter. No, I just love the fact that you acknowledge like that is you as a genius, really kind of seeing like, I don't have to be dismayed because people are laughing at something I wanted to be scary. Let's make it funny.
That is quality. Is nothing special about me, and I thank you for the comment. But it's really something that any comedian does when they're with an audience. They hear they're starting to like, oh, they like the curse words. All right, I'm going to push the curse words even more. Or, oh, they like my self-deprecating humor. I'm going to go further than ever. So they're listening to the audience, and there's a communication going on back and forth. That's what I do with test screenings.
Yes.
Ideally, and that's what everybody supposedly does, they turn into marketing surveys, though, and studio cut sessions, when really they're for the filmmaker and the audience to parlay and for the audience to laugh. And the filmmaker goes, I'm going to put back in that other joke. If they thought this was funny, there was a joke that was on the cusp, I'm going to try that. Or they're really getting restless here. This is too long. I've got it. There's something wrong here. They already know this information. I guess they can just jump from the beginning to what I thought was 3/4 point of this information flow. They don't need a baby step. They'll just take the leap themselves, and they'll like it more because they've figured it out. And actually, sometimes they'll go, oh, that's cool. That happened. Oh, therefore, I mean, this must have happened because that happened.
Right.
And it's actively, when it works, engaging the audience in a storytelling process. So that dialogue, that back and forth, me listening to the audience laugh and leaning into the laughter is a natural on-stage comedic necessity, I think.
Of course. But not everybody does that. And I think that's, again, one of the reasons why we're in this room, to glorify your work, because we appreciate you doing that.
Oh, man.
For
Thank you
us.
guys.
I am going to invite you guys to line up to ask some questions, and while you do, I'm going to ask one last one. So, Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2, you have this great showcase of Black Bolt, King of the Inhumans, who is my favorite comic book character of all time.
Really?
Yes.
That's rare.
It is rare. I know, when you talk about nerds, I am he, and that is what I do. When it came to getting Anson Mount in the full Black Bolt costume, was that like a key goal of yours? Because I don't think in the Inhuman series, he actually went full cow. Was that like a key goal of yours? And what did it take in order to design the showcase of his voice when he dispatched Thanos?
Wow. Well, it was really a great costume design department that I had, and it was the incredible team at Marvel and Kevin Feige who really wanted to put Black Bolt in, and was listening to the fans because I think he knew what a great actor Anson Mount is as Black Bolt, and yet the series didn't achieve the heights that it should have. So I think Kevin cast him as that role for that reason, to showcase him, and he did so well. It was so great to work with. But really, it was the Marvel costume design department and all the Marvel artists that came before them that drew Black Bolt with all the different versions of his outfit. And I think them just coming together in a love fest for all the artists that had done the work before, and us as filmmakers trying to bring that great Marvel vision to life.
I love it. It brought such joy to my eyes. And I even shed a tear when he died. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Hello, friend. How are we doing today?
Is for the reminder, no cameras or phones during the Q&A, guys.
Yes, please, please,
look
please.
away.
Thank you, thank you.
I don't think that was a question.
No, that's Mike. That is the voice of wisdom. Don't make him rush you, okay? No phones or cameras, please.
I wanted to ask, you've been in film for a very long time. I was just wondering if you prefer like the older style of film production from like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, or if you prefer the more, I don't know if you would say easier per se, but the advent of digital and stuff like that. I guess as a filmmaker and stuff, and being involved in production, I guess I was just wondering what decade or era was like your favorite, like production-wise, going forward.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, in terms of production, what is your favorite? Is it the more practical effects generation or the more digital?
Because I was raised during the practical effects generation, I think I do like those better. I like watching them better, and I enjoy the magic that goes on set to create them. I was a magician as a kid, and I find them very similar. The pulling off of a good mechanical effect on camera to a digital effect done later. But basically, the production is very similar, I find, from the analog era to the digital era as far as filmmakers go. It still comes down to telling the story, beginning, middle, and end, like you were talking about, working with the actors.
Right.
And then working with all the departments and orchestrating them, hoping that they will contribute to the thing. It doesn't really change too much going from analog to digital. They're very similar, and the important parts are all still the same.
Love that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Hello. Hi, my name is Craig, and I just want to say Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters, and I want to recognize the work you've done outside of Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
But he's had a big impact on me. What was it like for you to see Toby, and I guess Andrew as well, to return to the screen, and did that breathe any new life into your old Spider-Man 4 script?
No, that Spider-Man 4 script just stayed on the shelf. It didn't start breathing. But I did love that movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. They did all three Spider-Men did such a great job. But Spider-Man 4, I don't know that Marvel would go back to it or Sony would go back to it at this stage because they're so successful with the ongoing new Spider-Man stories. And I think that's where the modern audience is right now.
Would you return?
That old, I could never get that old. It's a complicated question because I could never get the old script done in time. So I don't have a script yet, believe it or not, that is ready for production. But if there was a great script, you couldn't stop me from making a great script. Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Now, I do have to still give you your roses. As great as the Tom Holland universe Spider-Man stuff has been, it did require villains to come back to hit the heights that No Way Home did. So I'm just saying, as good as this era is, it needed you as well. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. So, lots of people, including myself, know you best for making the Spider-Man movies, and I've loved them for years. And if you were to direct a fourth Spider-Man movie, who do you think would be the main villain?
Hypothetically, if we have to live in the hypothetical if
you were to direct
nobody take this as some sort of gospel.
It would really depend on the main character's story, where he was going, what he was growing through as Peter Parker, and trying to find that villain that represented the obstacle in some way that he had to grow past, and personifying it into a character. So I don't know the answer to that question until I knew what Peter Parker's story was for that particular episode, that particular movie.
Okay.
Well done, well done. Thank you, thank you.
That's a smart answer.
Hello.
Hey, my name is Ace.
So we're bouncing back and forth. We're bouncing back and forth. We're on this
Hi,
side now.
Mr. Raimi. My name is Chris. You have done so much over your career, so many genres, so many different styles. Looking at your IMDb page, you have so much going on. Is there any dream project left? Anything you want to put your spin on? Secret desire to remake Titanic.
It doesn't need remaking. It's so great.
Turn it into a horror.
But I guess I'd remaking a movie that maybe had a good story, but just wasn't executed well. I don't really have anything in mind, but that would be a possibility.
Okay.
I love a lot of superheroes. So there's some superheroes I would love to tell their version of the story. But I'd like to tell a story where I understood the journey of the main character. Then I think I know how to direct it. I know where to put the camera. I know what I'm doing. It's hard to tell a story as a director when the story is not well written. Because you're in charge of executing it,
Right.
and making it clear to the crew, and yet it's not clear in the script.
Right.
So it's becomes very, very difficult. So I guess more than any particular project, I'd like a story where I understood the main character.
Love that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hey, can I speak now?
Absolutely.
My name is Casey Stabler. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man, and I grew up watching your movies. Absolutely loved them. I also grew up watching the Andrew and Tom movies. So I got a couple questions, but I'll try to make them quick. So my first question is, what is your favorite Spider-Man villain? Because we all know Spider-Man for having such a unique and diverse rogues galleries. So which one's your favorite?
Favorite Spider-Man villain?
Okay. From the comic books, I'll say Green Goblin.
Okay. Solid.
That was, I'm sorry, I was confused.
That's all right.
It's really because of the personal relationships that he has with Peter, that he is Peter's best friend's father. And so there's a lot of drama in the comics. I remember that Stan Lee and Roy Thomas and the whole gang worked on in the Marvel bullpen when there was danger that Green Goblin's identity would be revealed to Pete. You didn't know what that would do to Pete's friendship with Harry, or how Harry would take it. And Harry always seemed so troubled anyways.
Right.
He didn't want him to find out that his father was this mass murderer, and yet he'd better find out, so more people aren't hurt. And there was a lot of inherent drama in that character. So I think that's why the Green Goblin's my favorite.
I like that. Due to time, can we get one more from you?
Yes. So, would you, it doesn't have, I know someone already asked this, but it doesn't have to be, would you ever return to direct another, solo Spider-Man movie? It doesn't have to be, with Tobey, just in general. If there was say, a reboot with a new actor, with Peter, would you ever return to direct it?
It's such a great character.
Indeed.
And I started just loving the character and not having actors in mind. Knowing the 20 years of great comics when we made the Spider-Man movie. But since then, because I've made Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, I have such a closeness with the actors from those experiences. I wouldn't, at this point, want to go back and make them without them.
Respect that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I get that. Thanks for, I'm glad I got to,
Thank you. Sincerely.
Yes.
No, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
I'm glad I got to meet you.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
Very
you.
nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Hello.
Hi, I got your autograph yesterday, and I very much appreciate it. I'm getting it framed in my house. Non-Spider-Man question. I told you yesterday Evil Dead 2 is my favorite movie of
Come on,
all
let's
time.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
So, going back to the first Evil Dead, after it got classified as video nasty and banned in Europe, I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true, if you can confirm or deny, that you were wanted in Europe because of it.
Wow.
Nobody wanted me.
We want you. That's a wild one.
I will say that it was video nasty, just like you suggested, and that's a designation that the Great Britain's government, I believe, or maybe it was the media gave to a brand of outrageous horror movies. But the distributor was really fighting for that movie to be seen. Palace Pictures, I really owe them a lot. They were Steve Woolley and Nick Powell were running Palace Pictures, and Nick Powell got put in jail because he was showing the Evil Dead.
Wow.
Really? Yeah. So they said, Sam, will you speak on Nick's behalf? And I said, absolutely. So I flew to London and took a train to Leeds, and I was getting ready to do my Captain Kirk speech about, in America, we believe in freedom. I get there, and the judge says, it's not Mr. Raimi's intentions that are on trial here, but the work itself. You're dismissed, Sam. I went, oh. But I got a speech. But anyways, Nick was eventually released. He beat those charges, and Evil Dead was eventually released as a film again in Great Britain.
Make some noise for that. Like, sincerely. The walls that you knocked down, intentionally, unintentionally, again, speaks volumes to your work. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Again, quick reminder, no recording during this. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey Sam, yeah, real quick two-parter. So knowing that you're a fan of the Three Stooges, Shemp or Curly?
Shemp.
All right, yeah. And so, watching your career, from Evil Dead when I was, small teenager, and seeing how you sprinkled elements of the horror throughout your movie career. So I was a little taken back by, when I went and saw the Doctor Strange movie. So I want to know how much input you had into that, because, when I'd seen Doctor Strange come back as a corpse at the end of the movie, I was like, that Sam all over it. How much play did you have into that?
Well, really, it's mostly 99.9% Michael Waldron, our writer. He's a great writer. He did the original Loki series on TV, and he's so talented. He's actually the one that came up with that, and so many great Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness ideas. He's the writer of the script, and he's really the author of the work, and we work together really well, along with Richie Palmer and the whole Marvel team. But it's really was the writer that gets credit for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, my name's Sam as well, and good to see Mr. Raimi. Earlier you talked about having a production-ready script. I was just wondering, kind of back when you were first starting to write, and especially when you were trying to put as much into these movies as possible without having it be overwhelming, were there times where you doubted yourself, where you were thinking, maybe is this too much, is it too little?
Oh, wow.
And if you did, how did you come over that and bring forth what you actually ended up making?
I think anyone who writes or makes movies is in a constant state of doubt. We really are wondering, what is the audience going to think about this? Is this too much? Like you say, is it too little? Are they even going to understand this? And that's just where writers and artists and filmmakers and actors all work. We all live there, and we're hoping that we can communicate what we're feeling to the audience. And usually, the answer is to those nagging doubts for me. If I believe it and I think it's cool, I'm just like everybody else, and they might think the same thing. They think it's cool, but they think it's boring. I think it's boring. So you have to rely on your own instincts. There's no other way to go through with it, because you can't say, I don't know, I think they'll like this. No, that's not going to work. Do you like it? If you like it, they'll like it. So that's the only real barometer, temperature taker we have, is to trust our own instincts. That's what they mean when they say trust your instincts. They mean, do you like it? And so, a writer, you got to ask yourself that question. And why not? Why don't I like it? Well, it's boring. Why is it boring? Well, I don't care about the character. Well, who is the character? I don't know. Well, you better let's figure out, make up who this character is, so we have something to care about. But it's all about asking questions and trusting yourself and listening to yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a Sam Raimi masterclass right there. That is the game right there. I want to give you guys a heads up. We have like 7 minutes left, so we'll get through as many folks as we can. If we don't get through to you, please come see Sam at his booth and see if you get a chance to ask questions there. Go ahead.
Hey Sam. I grew up with your Spider-Man movies, and Spider-Man 1 is my absolute favorite movie of all time. 2 and 3 are really amazing as well. They have greatly impacted my life, not just as a child, but as an adult as well. When I was watching No Way Home, I kept hearing about this thing early in the lead up to No Way Home. I kept hearing about this thing called the Raimi camera, and like the Raimi cam, and like when I was watching No Way Home, I was like, I was able to very easily detect the scenes that you shot because they were so very much unique, and like they felt like the older Spider-Man movies. What sort of led up to the creation of this proverbial Raimi camera?
You know, I don't know what that is.
I think he refers to your style of shooting, right?
I don't know because I really don't know. I love No Way Home, and I don't know what I did read that once too, and I didn't know what that was referring to. But I've made a lot of different camera devices and worked with grips and cameramen and DPs and just production assistants to help me figure out how to move the camera in interesting ways. Worked with mechanical effects and had the camera put on hydraulic reels and raced at actors for dynamic effects, or I've put the camera on 2x4s to try and get a, I call shaky cam, because we couldn't afford the steady cam. That was kind of a joke at the time, because we wanted this really smooth, eerie, evil force. I made something called a Ramo cam that I put on a rail that smashed through a car windshield chasing Bruce and smashed out in the back windshield, out the front windshield. And because for dynamic effect, like this evil force wasn't going to stop. I've had a Blammo cam, or I've had the camera mounted on a gun. I've had a Samo cam made where I put Bruce Campbell on a rig where I could spin him and torture him and run him through trees. So I've had every kind of cam name that I can rhyme with: Ram, Cam, Slam, Ram, Bruce, Goose, Bruce. I'm basically, I don't know what Raimi cam is, though. I don't know what that one is, but thanks for asking.
I think it's sort of the amalgamation of what you just said, like just like all those devices that you use to make like certain shots and all that.
That's awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
You sir are amazing. You are an inspiration to all of us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Hello.
Hi, Sam. I have two questions for you today. If we have.
Can we get
time.
one, because we're running tight on
Sure,
time? Thank you.
Okay. So if you had gone with Nightmare as the villain for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, who would you and Michael Waldron, who would have been your first pick to portray him?
Ooh. That's a good question.
It's a really good question. I didn't have anybody in mind because he was so briefly in the version that we were working on. I didn't have time to get to casting. We were still working on story elements and theme.
You asked me, my first pick would have either been Johnny Depp or Cillian Murphy.
Oh, great
those
choice.
are good ones.
Yeah.
Those are good ones. I would have broken your mind and made it Martin Short. Trust me, folks. Yeah. Good call though. I like those. Thank you. Hello.
Hey Sam, my name is Braden. I, like many people in here, grew up on your work. Spider-Man. It probably wasn't the best idea for me, a 3-year-old, to watch a man cut his hand off with a chainsaw.
Disagree.
Either way, you know what shape I am now. But so my question for you is, ever since the movie came out, there's been talks of infamy, and it's kind of grown into a kind of a popularity with Spider-Man 3 and the symbiote being on Peter. So my question is, have you seen any of the Bully Maguire memes or any of the Peter Parker dances, any of that around?
I've seen, you mean from Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, when he has the symbiote on him.
I've seen clips of kids dancing, Peter Parker dance, and yeah, I have seen that. It makes me laugh my head off.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you. Fortunately, this is going to have to be our last question, so take us home.
I do want to say, as an artist and illustrator, I have so many heroes that I look up to. I was really curious, what heroes did you have that inspired your work? Because I love your work just so much.
Great question.
That is so kind of you. Thank you. I've been inspired by the great John Huston filmmaker, Akira Kurosawa, the great Japanese filmmaker. I studied Fellini, the one film class I had in Michigan State University. I was only there briefly, but Fellini, what a masterful artist, and I guess Hitchcock, great British filmmaker.
Yeah.
British American filmmaker.
Oh my God, I love it. Cleveland,
Yeah.
make some noise. Show all the love to Mr. Sam Raimi. Get on your feet, people. That's right. Thank you all for coming through. He's going back to his booth.